All right, are we ready, Maggie? Okay, good morning, everyone. We will call the Nisswa City Council Special Meeting to order on Monday, December 8th, 2025. It is 8:33 a.m. And the only agenda item, the purpose we're here today is to do interviews for the deputy clerk position, discussion, hiring, and an offer. And I believe our first candidate is here, but did you want to start by giving any instructions to
Yes, I do.
council?
You have a list of applicants and then questions for each. So each applicant has a question form. Jennifer talked about just having you guys kind of round robin the few questions that are, it's 2 pages, so please be mindful that there's a few questions on the back end. Try and be mindful of, you can ask follow-up questions, but try and be consistent with each applicant. And then just try and not ask personal items.
So when the candidates come in, I'll start with the question and we'll just go this way. So you can take the second one, Bruce, and then we'll go that way.
Here's good. Yeah, not as many as usual. They actually have quite a bit more snow there than we do. Yeah. And
Morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So we have just a series of questions. So what we'll do is I'll start with the first question and we'll just, keep going around until the questions are complete, if that works.
Sounds good.
Do you have any questions for us before we start?
Not initially, no.
Okay, well, thank you again for being here. So Jessica, if you could please tell us a little about yourself, including your background and experiences that makes you a good candidate for the position.
I was born and raised on a dairy farm in central Minnesota. Right after high school, I joined the military, served for almost 5 years in the United States Navy. Bounced around to a few odd jobs, and then 2008, I purchased a existing business. It was a secondhand children's store. I owned and operated that for 15 years. We grew significantly. We started at 1,700 square feet and we ended at 6,500. It was a great asset to the community. We did a lot of community programs, events, and things like that to help moms and dads with the cost of raising kids. We closed that business in February of 23. A lot of different factors, COVID, staffing, just the timeline of the business. I took a year off just to take care of myself for a year, and then I started at Menards. I worked there for a little over a year. Started off just wanting basic retail job, nothing fancy, and ended up at the front end as the first assistant manager. That job was very challenging, lot of different personalities, and I had never managed that number of people before, but turned out I was quite good at that. They all really liked me, and it went very well there. It was just the hours were kind of erratic. So I have done a lot of paperwork and processing, research, things like that in my business. I ran the whole thing. I did all of the HR, all the hiring, all of the marketing, the advertising, basically everything that went into the business. I did. I researched, planned, everything to do with the business. So I believe that those qualifications would definitely help in this position.
Thank you. Next question, Bruce.
The position will be the first point of contact with the citizen interaction here. Please describe the time where you dealt with a customer who was frustrated or upset, how you addressed the situation and provided a resolution.
With 16 plus years of customer service experience, I've dealt with a lot of unhappy customers, and it's just a matter of taking the time and letting them talk, letting them explain their point of view, what their problem is, and then coming up with a solution to solve it. There were a few at Menards specifically that, mostly in the service department where customer service where you're returning items. And they have something that they feel that is acceptable to return, and we felt it was not. And it's just like I said, you just have to listen to them, explain, well, this is our policy and procedure. This is the way we have to go about it, and just reiterate, these are the rules we have to follow, and try to come up with a happy medium to make the customer happy and still make the business at least a little bit of money.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Next question, Joe.
Describe your knowledge of general office computer programs and which programs you are most comfortable using.
I have a lot of experience with Word, Excel. I've done some Access, Outlook, PowerPoint. I used Quicken, not QuickBooks. I know QuickBooks is one that most businesses use. I used Quicken. It's very similar. Um, I have used several point of sale systems. Internet search. I was born in that generation where we started out with computers in elementary school. They had green screens, but they were still computers. But I learned how to program computers. I learned how to build computers, and I have stayed on top of all the knowledge and the different computer processes and things that have come since then. Like I said, I'm very good with Word. Publisher is my favorite. You can create just about anything you want on that program. I researched all of the different POS systems that I was intending to use. Finally found one that we liked, implemented it, bought all the hardware, installed the software. So I'm good at IT as well. So.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Next question, Jesse.
Appreciate you being here and early. Like to know what draws your interest the most into the city of Nisswa in this position.
We moved up here about 2 years ago. Loved the area. We had a cabin up here, sold our house, decided just to move to the cabin and fell in love with it. Decided we're not leaving. We like the quiet. We like the small town. This is an excellent community. It's very diverse in the fact that in the winter, it's nice and quiet. And in the summer, there's so much to do.
Never heard somebody call it diversification in that regard before, but man, I like that.
I've never been in an area that had this much turnover like that from winter to summer.
Sure.
My retail experience, the summer is slow and the winter is a little busier. This will be a different experience, but I like the fact that it's a government job. It's steady hours. It's consistent. That is definitely what I'm looking for right now. I love to help people. I love answering questions. I love finding solutions to things.
And one last one for you as well, ma'am. In regards to culture, what is your opinion on culture as you'll be walking in potentially into a new work environment with new faces? What's your opinion on culture long term and what you feel like you're going to be able to play a part into that?
I believe this is more of a small town culture, so everybody knows everybody that lives here at least, and then you get to know the people that come in seasonally. I come from a small town, but being in the military really opened my eyes to very diverse cultures and, different people. So I am very comfortable with working with all sorts of different people, different ages, different ethnicities, different everything. I can communicate quite well with a variety of people, so I feel I would do very well in this position.
Thank you.
If you can tell us about a project you were involved with or assigned to complete that required creativity and innovation.
I would say the business that I ran. Each year you have to come up with new ideas to get people in. We were constantly doing events for the kids. We had an Easter bunny, we had big Halloween events, we had Santa Claus come every year. So I was constantly thinking about different opportunities for the kids, different things that we could do to get the kids in the door, which ultimately gets the parents to buy things, but just planning things to do with the kids. We did one Christmas, we basically sponsored a teenager. We let her come in and pick out an entirely new wardrobe. I can't think of any other. It was, I mean, it's a lot of planning, a lot of thinking, a lot of figuring out what's gonna work and what's not. We tried different avenues. I can say that we did not do well with the junior section. I cannot figure out teenagers and what they like. But the kids stuff, that was easy. I could do kids. So yeah, we did a lot of events, which required a lot of planning, and things like that, so.
Thank you. Bruce, next question.
Describe a situation where you're able to help out a colleague or a team member.
It wasn't necessarily well, she was a colleague. I lost my, right-hand gal. She died in a motorcycle accident. And after she passed, I pretty much made sure that her kids were taken care of. Anything that they needed, you know, clothing wise, anything that I could provide through my store, I did. She had 3 kids, and yeah, that was a very tough situation. But I did everything I could to help those kids until we closed the business. And I still stay in contact with them.
God bless you for that.
Joe, next question.
Tell us about a time when you felt overwhelmed with a number of tasks you were balancing in your work and what strategies you did to use to manage all of it.
Again, that business, it's a lot, and it's just prioritizing. You make a list and you figure out which items had to be done immediately, which items could wait a little while, and which items you could hopefully pass off to someone else. So, it's all about delegation, and prioritization. So just figuring out what parts need to get done now and which parts can wait.
Thank you. Next question, Jesse?
Broad, but general. What motivates you?
I like to help people. I go above and beyond for some things, but just the need to answer questions, to research, to help. I've always liked that aspect of any job that I've done. The business part of my business was just business. I liked seeing those people come in and seeing what they needed, helping them. We had want lists, so anytime someone needed something specific, if it came in, we could call them. But I think my primary motivation is just to help people.
Thank you. What 3 words would your coworkers use to describe you and why?
Friendly, multitasker, and probably stubborn. If there's something I believe in, I tend to stand behind it.
Very good. Bruce?
What motivates you?
Oh, Jesse has that one. I think it's this one.
Yeah, this one there.
Yep.
Yep, helping
This,
people.
this job requires a high level attention to detail, describes ways you ensure your work is accurate and complete.
To start off, you have to make sure you have a clear aspect of what the project is, what needs to be done. And then just going through step by step, making sure everything is, you know, if it's a form that needs to be filled out, absolutely everything is filled out to the letter. If there's a question on something, researching it to figure out what the proper way to go about it is. just double checking, making sure everything is complete to the best of your ability.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then the last thing we had is, now that we've gone through these questions, what questions do you have for us, if any?
Everything was pretty late. I mean, the hours were great, the pay was fine. After our city council meetings, those I would assume the city clerk attends.
Maggie, will it?
Well, that's a good question because in the past, we've had a city administrator and then the clerk, and both of them did attend. We are currently seeking to fill a city administrator / clerk in a singular position. So, Maggie, if you have any thoughts?
My initial thought is there could be an opportunity for that. I think with some of our new minute software,
Oh,
we maybe don't need to have more staff here that night. Now, it will all be a work in progress as we get some positions filled and kind of see what the balance is. But
Mhm.
as the administrator clerk, they would be kind of operating the meetings, but I think with some of that stuff, it probably really depends. I'd like to hope not. I don't want people to work more than they need to, because sometimes it gets to be a lot of night meetings. And that takes away from a work-life balance that we like to incorporate into the city. of
Like I
Nisswa.
said, the hours are already fantastic. Any additional, not a big deal. Menards, I was closing one day and opening the next, so
ooh.
yeah, 4 hours of sleep, not conducive to good home life
That's what this
balance.
staff, that's what this staff tends to do when we have, council meetings that start. Next year, they're starting at 6. This year, they started at 7.5 for years. We could be here till 9, 9:30, 10 o'clock sometimes. And then they're reporting back to work,
Mhm.
regular hours
Yeah,
next day.
not an issue. I was just wondering. I
Sure thing.
had seen that, there were meetings after hours, so I was just wondering.
Sure.
It's,
Bruce, do you have any additional questions for us?
no, I don't think so.
Okay, Bruce, do you have any additional questions that weren't a part of this?
Not at this time.
Jesse, do you have any additional questions that weren't asked?
I have none.
I have none either. Thank you so much for being here. We sincerely appreciate your time,
Thank you.
consideration, and taking time to meet with us.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it, ma'am. Have a good day.
Hey, thanks a lot. Nice meeting you.
Congratulations on the new baby.
Thank you. Councilmember Hall probably got a fire call, so that's probably why he took off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I don't know if we're allowed to say that because some information is redacted.
Baxter?
Good morning.
Morning. Ron Baxter, hence by the reference.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for.
So what we will do is we've got just a series of questions. So we're asking the same interview questions to every candidate to be fair and compliant. So we will go around, I'll start and we'll just do a round robin. And then at the end, we'll leave time for any questions you might have as well. But before we get started, do you have any questions about the process?
I don't believe so.
Okay, great. Well, we will just jump right into it. Carrie, if you could please tell us a little about yourself, including your background and experiences that makes you a good candidate for the position.
Right? Well, kind of followed my father's footsteps into the field of education, but I wasn't sure if I was doing it just to follow dad. So back in my senior year of high school, I did do a class being an assistant in an elementary school and found that I really did enjoy the work and I loved it. So I did go into the field of education. I am a licensed teacher. But my first few jobs kept getting cut. New licensed teachers get pink slipped every year, and so one time when I got laid off, I did find myself at the city of St. Augusta and I worked there for 4 years. I came into the process as they were just putting water in the city. They were purchasing it from the city of St. Cloud, but everybody needed to buy water meters, which I sold to the whole city. And then I sat in on the process of what software we were gonna use and got to help decide that. So we went with Banyan. I started the process of utility billing. I was with the city for 4 years. During my time there, I also organized their national night out and the citywide cleanup each year. Did a monthly newsletter and bulk mailed that out to the residents. I kind of kept looking in education a little bit while I was there, and I did get a position offered to me with Foley, and it was going to double my income. But I've always missed the city work. I did want to go back. I kept calling my boss and I'm like, are you sure my position is still there? Even though I have more money, I kind of miss the city work. Every day is a different scenario. You can never really plan, because something can change that in an instant. And I like that. I kind of thrive and have become flexible. So.
Very good. Thank you. Next question, Bruce.
This position will be the first point of contact for citizen interaction. Please describe a time where you dealt with a customer who was frustrated or upset, and how you addressed the situation and provided a resolution.
So all of my positions, I've been on the front lines. So I'm pretty used to that. I've been in K-12 settings. I'm the one front person that deals with all families as they come in, happy and sad sometimes. But my years of customer service have all been great. My one tough customer I've had through the years was during my city of St. Augusta. We had one customer who wanted to come in and get his water meter right then and there. It happened to be the one time I didn't have the box full right behind me and all utility people were out. We had to crawl up in the rafters to get more. He was not happy, but we came to a solution that if he could just wait a little bit, do his errands, we would get one out of the rafters as soon as we could and deliver it to his house, and he was satisfied. But that's only been my one crabby customer in all my years.
Thank you. Next question, Jesse.
In regards to some of your knowledge of general office computer programs or systems, which are you most comfortable using?
I am comfortable with both. I have evolved with technology through the years. I started with, back in high school, the little floppy disks and the little Mac, and so I have really come along the process along with it growing. So I'm comfortable with either platforms.
Thank you. Could you tell us about a project you were involved with or assigned to complete that required creativity and innovation?
Well, so my newsletters, which I have done, I guess, both for Tech High School and the city of St. Augusta, I basically have drafted, and we'd proof, with administrators and stuff, but I was the one who would lay it all out and get it organized.
Very good. Next question, Bruce.
Describe a situation where you're able to help out a colleague or a team member.
So I feel like I do that every day in a position. You always have to be a part of the team and try to do your part to uphold and help everybody out.
Thank you.
Next question, Jesse.
I'm curious into what draws your interest into the city of Nisswa in this position.
So my father bought property up here when my parents got divorced when I was young. We used to, if you look at the map, we used to own the peninsula on Little Lake Hubert that sticks out. Him and my uncle. So I grew up in the area and found it, a magical place as a child. And now I met my husband up here. He drove up my driveway at my dad's place when I was young. And we have now, his family had a place on Gladstone, so we have now raised our 3 children up here on weekends. That's our home away from home. And we have been trying to relocate for a very long time. It's hard to get interviews up here. I've been trying for probably 20 years, and that's why I'm so honored to be here today. Because about a week ago, I just said to my husband, what do you have to do to get an interview in that northern area? Like, I've been trying forever. So eventually, we would like to relocate, and we know that being practical in this economy, we need to establish positions first before we make that move, so.
Thank you. Can you tell us about a time when you felt overwhelmed with the number of tasks you were balancing in your work, and what strategies did you use to manage all of it?
So I used to be a head secretary at a school, so everything was coming at me. And I organized by dates and priorities a lot. During that position, I would have to come in on some of our days off just to get caught up if I felt I needed to, but I was willing to do that. If family was gone hunting or whatever, I'm gonna go in and get some things done. And that, but usually by priority, what needs to get done first and dates, you know.
Very good, thanks. Bruce, next question.
What 3 words would your coworkers use to describe you and why?
Crazy, dependable, and fun-loving.
Okay. Joe, we're on the second page, the second question.
Okay.
It's your question, Joe.
My question.
Yep.
This job requires a high level of attention to detail. Describe ways you ensure your work is accurate and complete.
So currently in my position being, I've been with the district so long and have been doing student registrations for so long, I do get pulled in to help out our Welcome Center and do the registration of students, which is a lot of data entry and data privacy information, some very critical situations and stuff. And so far, I've been very successful. I haven't been called back on anything I've done. I've done state reporting for schools on discipline, and all that went well. So I guess I just really watch what I'm inputting and make sure it is accurate.
Thank you. Next question, Jesse.
What motivates you?
Motivates me?
What motivates you?
Self-motivation. I've lost my parents, so I am become the matriarch of my family early in life. And so I've just had to do some self-searching and realized I have to wake up with a positive attitude every day. And I'm the cup of coffee, you know, instead of half full each day. You got to keep going.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That was it for all of our questions. What questions do you have for us?
For the person who gets this position, not saying it's going to be me, but what do you see this person doing for goals for the next 5 years? What do you hope for this person?
So the council, we do like strategic sessions twice a year where we go off site. So we typically do them in February and then September. And one of the priorities has been for council to really look forward and assess what are the strategic priorities for the city over the next 5 years. So that's something that will be coming forward in February, but perhaps Maggie, who is our finance specialist, she's been around a long time and has seen the city change and evolve. Perhaps she could give you some context because she is kind of a one-woman show right now in the admin department.
Well, obviously, we're doing a little bit of restructuring, trying to shift some duties and things like that. And so I would say my goal within our department would be just to figure out how all these duties align with the hours in the day and figure out, like, if you are really good at something, I want to give those duties to people that are good at what they do. Obviously, we all have parts of our job that are not the funnest, but you have to do that. So I think like it's really just a building year for, I would say, our department on how it all flows, how we can make the workload balance a little bit better and figure out really just the best structure. I mean, I think there's gonna be some things that change within the duties and how things align, but for me right now, within our department, it will just be trying to level out some of the responsibilities.
That's good.
Do you have any other questions?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, council, any additional questions?
Nothing.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here, taking the time. We do appreciate it. Nice to meet you.
Meet you. Good luck.
Oh, we're running a half hour ahead. So is the next candidate probably isn't here yet, or? Oh, should we should, yeah, let's keep going, if everyone's okay with it? Keep going?
Yeah.
Okay,
Going a little faster than.
yeah, it is going much faster. That's okay.
You know, the questions are there, it's pretty much straightforward.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. Jane, so the way we're going to structure the interview is we just have a series of questions that we're asking every candidate, right? To
Okay.
keep the process fair and compliant. And so we will just do a round robin of asking the questions and then we'll give you time at the end
Okay,
to ask any questions of us. So
Great.
before we get started, do you have any questions about this process?
not yet.
Okay, great. Well, we will just jump in. So Jane, if you could please tell us a little about yourself, including your background and experiences that make you a good candidate for the position.
Well, based on the packets I saw that Maggie put online early this morning, which was good to see, I'm probably the most qualified and relevant, have the most relevant experience because I grew up in this area. My city clerk experience was in Lake Shore and 50 Lakes. So I'm familiar with all the communities within the Brainerd Lakes area. I'm moving back here permanently by choice. And so I know not only the deputy clerk position, but I can help out with anything above or below those responsibilities. And it's not a job for me, it's a vocation. I really enjoy being a public servant or public service. And I'm good at it. You know, I have such great rapport with people, and that's so important when you're in city government. And so I took a detour to Florida for 25 years, and that was primarily, we adopted 2 children with special needs, and they had education opportunities in Florida that they didn't have here in Minnesota. And it was the best decision we ever made because they both graduated with standard diplomas, went on to college, and they're both successfully employed in professional positions. So that was a good detour for me, but now I'm coming home. So, and this is where I want to be. And I want to, give back and be in public service with a community that I believe in. And Cross Lake, Pequot, Nisswa, and Lakeshore are my communities of choice.
Thank you. Next question, Bruce.
This position will be the first point of contact for citizen interaction. Please describe a time where you dealt with a customer who was frustrated or upset, how you addressed the situation and provided a resolution.
Well, in city government, you are usually challenged with people that come into the front office and have questions about taxes, planning and zoning, agenda items they see coming up, action items that motions were made on. And I try to, a lot of times it's misinformation. If they're upset, it's usually misinformation or not enough information. So it's an education process. And I use humor quite often in a few situations as much as I can because I'm a very friendly person. So I try to keep it on a friendly level. And I really just focus on the education and making sure they understand what the correct procedure or statute is that we have to follow. And if I can't help them, if I can't resolve it with them, I will respectfully ask them to give me the time to research it and find someone that can, get me more information to satisfy if they still have questions.
Thank you. Next question, Joe.
Describe your knowledge of general office computer programs and which programs you're most comfortable using.
Innovation in technology is one of my strong points. I've often come into an office and automated them or upgraded them to a higher level of technology. So there really almost isn't a program I have used, including the government funding accounting programs. So I'm comfortable with everything, and I'm always learning finding new ways to improve use technology to improve efficiency. So I'm comfortable using any kind of technology.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Next question, Jesse.
There any projects? Mike's. There any projects that you've been involved with or assigned to complete that required some creativity and innovation, such as you were just alluding to?
Marketing, I've had to do a lot of marketing in my, not my governmental positions, but in my commercial real estate development and commercial property management. And then my most recent position on Sanibel as community manager for a large resort complex. And I actually created a new website for them when I first started. And we upgraded the software, the reservation software, the accounting software. And so I have no problem taking on the challenge of new projects.
Piggyback off that same question, did that also include social media?
Oh,
Or-
definitely, yes.
Okay, so
yes,
you're familiar with Facebook,
Yes,
Instagram?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
If you can describe a situation where you were able to help out a colleague or a team member.
It happens all the time. I'm a team person. I promote teamwork. I tend not to even take credit for something, even though I was a team leader, because it takes more than just one person to accomplish things. So I'm a good motivator, and I'm inclusive. And I know that everyone has strengths and should contribute what they're good at. And I like to rely on those strengths for other people and delegate as much as I can. But then again, I'm also used to doing it all by myself. When I was at 50 Lakes, I was the only person in the office. I was city clerk treasurer. I also filled in for planning and zoning administrator. So, but I like working as a team.
Very good, thank you. Next question, Bruce.
Tell us about a time when you felt overwhelmed with a number of tasks you were balancing in your work, and what strategies did you use to manage all of it?
Fortunately, I don't get overwhelmed very often, probably because I've had to do so much on my own, starting out in a small office and then, getting into larger offices. When I do feel the stress for whatever reason, and probably COVID was probably my most stressful situation that I felt overwhelmed, and that was because we were short on staff. There were obviously extenuating circumstances that I had no control over, and yet you're responsible for the outcome. And I was successfully able to apply for a PPP loan through the federal government. So our employees were able to continue to get compensated. And it actually helped save the business when I was at Sandalfoot on Sanibel. And so I find whatever resources I have available to me to help me and get through it. But I've never really been at a point where I was so overwhelmed that I was like dead in the water and felt like I had no way to go.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Next question, Joe.
What 3 words would your coworkers use to describe you and why?
Adaptable, approachable, collegial. Oh, and why? That's just always been my method of working with people in an office setting. Well, actually, it's the way I'm with even my friends. I just really respect other people and their strengths and even their weaknesses and help them with their weaknesses. And I want everyone to succeed, because if everyone succeeds, I succeed if I'm in a leadership position. In this position, obviously, I'm one of the team. I'm not the quarterback. I'm on the specialty team that's going to come off the bench. But I enjoy doing that. I'm good at that, and people, appreciate me for that, for those attributes.
Great, thank you. Next question, Jesse.
Love the football analogy. there.
I saw you use it in your interim administrator interviews. So.
And you do your homework, so
Yes.
that might answer this next question. This job requires a high level of attention to detail, probably something you're not unfamiliar with based off your past experience, but describe some ways that you ensure your work is accurate and complete if you could.
I'm really detail oriented to begin with, and I like to proof my work before I hit send or run the program. And if it's something really important that I'm not sure about, I will ask for someone else to take a look at it also. Again, because I'm usually part of a team. But I'm not adverse to admitting that I'm human, and I can, technology is always, garbage in, garbage out. And, people make mistakes. So I try to be careful to begin with. And if I do make a mistake and send something out that I didn't check correctly, I fess up to it and I fix it, and, hopefully it didn't do too much damage. But it's usually not a problem for me.
Appreciate that.
Mhm.
Thank you. What motivates you?
Being part of a community motivates me. It's, even when I was in Florida, it was a different kind of community, but I like giving back. I've been spending summers up here for the last 4 years. I have a summer place on Lake Molly, and I've been volunteering in Brainerd at Bridge of Hope. And so no matter where I am or what I'm doing, I just like to be, giving back and moving things forward, because I've been blessed with a great life, and I enjoy working with people.
Thank you.
Mhm.
The next question we have on here, you kind of answered in your intro. If you want to ask it again and see if there's
Sure.
anything else she wants to add.
You did mention things related to this question here, but if you can give us some more information and input here, why are you interested in working at the city of Nisswa? If you got more, let it go.
I was fortunate to have some time off, with my husband before he passed. And, we were able to travel and do some great things, but I retired too early. I mean, I miss working. And like I said, this doesn't feel like work to me when I'm working for city government. It really feels like I'm part of something. And now that I've made the decision to move back here, I'm familiar with Nisswa, especially since I've been living here summers for 4 years. So I'm very familiar with Nisswa. I grew up on Cross Lake summers, and my husband and I lived in Cross Lake for 20 years, and I worked in this area. So I wasn't going to actually look for work until I sold my house, finalized the sale of my house in Florida, and was actually up here physically, permanently. But when this position came available, in fact, you may have remember seeing me at the meeting where you were discussing reorganizing the administrative office and what positions you were going to bring on. And I came to find out what was going to be happening. And when I saw the deputy clerk was going to be the position coming, I said, oh my word, that's perfect for me. Like I said, I don't want to be the quarterback anymore. I've done that, and I have no problem being part of a team at a middle level or, lower level. But the timing is good, the community is wonderful, and the position, it's like I'm custom made for this position. And at this point in my life, it's really just a good fit, I think, for all of us. So.
Thank you. Well, that was our last question, Jane. So what questions do you have for us?
Well, I saw in the budget that you have quite a sizable amount allocated in 26 for technology. And so I was wondering, what is that going to be Is it, you know, what program or department is that going to be in? Would it affect this position?
Yeah, I'm gonna turn it over to Maggie, our finance specialist, to answer that because she is on top of everything with the budget.
Sure.
Most of that technology line item are, we have 2 servers, one here at City Hall and the PD that takes up the majority of that.
Okay.
There are also some security things with cyber and factor authentication things that we're implementing for security. So I will say the majority of that big dollar amount is nothing really anybody is going to see on the front end. It's all kind of on the back end and just extra caution and security
Okay.
or fraud and people hacking into our stuff. I'm trying to think within the city, our department, the council approved us to get I'll call it AI minutes. So we're gonna, I'm still working through some of that here, learning to figure out how, set some time aside to do that. But I will say for our department, that is probably the biggest thing that we will see for a difference
Okay.
as we work through it. I'll say 10 years ago, as a city, we researched, I 22 different fund accounting softwares, and we did webinars for 11 of them, and we settled on, it's called Cassell Civic Systems. I don't
Okay.
know if you've ever heard of
No.
it. But they are known all around the United States. And
Okay.
so that system can grow with, as the city grows. So we can add like job tickets, or we can add, we just added utility billing about 1.5 years ago. So we added that to the system. We're talking potentially about maybe adding some planning and zoning module to that software. To
Okay, so
help.
it's interdepartmental. It's, okay.
Yeah, I wanted something that we could grow with. I didn't want to be stuck with like, it only does payroll or only does
Right.
utility billing. I wanted something that we could grow with. So I think for the most part, those things are pretty good and they work really well and they get updated quarterly. So I've been really pleased with them.
Do you have an outside IT company that you contract with for security and
Yes.
storage, or, you know, in the cloud storage?
Yes.
What's the name of that firm again, Maggie?
Extona.
Extona,
okay.
yeah.
Yes.
Because that's what I ran into on Sanibel in particular. We thought we had, we were doing daily backups. We had offsite backup on premises backups. We had, you know, heavy use, you know, strong passwords, everything that you're supposed to do. But one of our employees clicked on a link that, even though they were instructed not to, and Trojan got in. And luckily, I have online alerts, and so I received a text alert right away that the system had been compromised. And fortunately, it was during the day, so we were able to unplug from the network and minimize the damage. But at that point, that's when I went and went out and acquired an outside contractor to come in and do an evaluation, and they didn't have any problems since, even though other companies were getting hit with the viruses.
Thank you.
I've last question for you. Can you pronounce your last name so we can get it right?
If you're in Minnesota, it's Michaud. If you're French, it's Michaud. My husband was French, his relatives are French Canadian,
Okay.
but I go by Michaud.
I like that. And beautiful area.
Yes,
Where
yes.
you were at. My mother.
Oh, yes, Sanibel.
My mother lives in Fort Myers Beach.
Yeah, I lived in Cape Coral. I lived in
Okay.
my house is in Cape, I couldn't afford to live on Sanibel.
Yeah.
But it was great to work there, so I could still see
It's
the paradise every day. on
Become
my-
pretty pricey down there, even after
Oh,
3 hurricanes.
I retired just before Ian.
Good.
And, you know, I got through everything else. I got through the red tide with the dead fish all over the beach, and I got through COVID and got through some other storms, but Ian was just devastating,
Yeah.
just devastating.
Yeah, our family's home had water over the roof line.
Yeah.
And they didn't total it.
No,
No.
no, I know. It's amazing what
Yeah.
they can sustain, so.
That's right.
Well, thank you. Bruce, do you have any additional questions?
Nothing.
Joe?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
do you have anything else for
I
us?
know that the agenda said that you're going to have a discussion and then are you actually going to do the hiring today?
I believe that is the intention based
Okay.
on the agenda.
Okay, so I have turned off my silent unknown callers on my phone in case you need to follow up with me for any more questions or hopefully to extend me an offer. So,
Well, we appreciate your time.
No, thank
Thank you
you.
so much for coming in.
yeah, I got a jolt of reality flying up here from Florida.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh, and by the way, I have a dear friend here in Nisswa that I will be living with. In fact, she's like not even a mile from here she's on Birch. While my house gets sold, my daughter still lives with me and my adult daughter, she lives down there. She'll finish up on the sale of my home. So I'm available quite soon and will be right here in the community. So.
At the beginning of the year, you would say?
Ideally, that would be wonderful, but as I told Maggie, I said I could make some travel changes over the holidays and I could start as easily as as early as the 17th if needed. I know she's been a trooper, but she's, I'm sure she's ready for some assistance.
She's had to put in a lot of overtime here and we could.
Yes, yes, yeah. And I know what that's like. So
Yes.
I'm very empathetic to her current situation.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Thank you,
thank you.
ma'am.
no, thank you.
Thank
Nice
you
to
so
meet
much,
all of
Florida.
you. Thank you.
So our next candidate is not here yet, I'm assuming.
No, that's.
We're running about 35 minutes early, so,
We'll just take a little break.
yep. We do arrive early, we'll just reconvene early.
But otherwise, are we gonna start the meeting then right at 10?
Unless if the next, do you need to leave?
Well, I might run out and do a couple things or at least make some phone
I'm
calls.
thinking if the next
We have him being in the stand, bear chasing a buck.
Yeah, Bear was chasing a buck this year.
That
Yep.
is awesome.
Good morning.
The hot spot,
Thanks for coming in.
not a problem.
Yeah, I hope you don't mind starting a little bit early since you're here.
Not a problem. With
Great.
weather coming, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, so basically just to go over the quick process, we've just got a series of questions. We've been asking every candidate the same questions to be fair and in compliance. So we'll just do a round robin on that.
Wonderful.
And then at the end, we'll leave time for any questions you have for us.
Great.
All right, great. We will get started, Nola. The first question is, if you could just tell us a little about yourself, including your background and experiences that make you a good candidate for the position.
Sure, not a problem. I've been in municipal government since approximately 2000 with a little leg due to family, but even then I was temping for a city when necessary to cover leaves, sick, vacation, things like that. I started in the city of Winstead, which is a small community, little less than 2,500 people, front desk, utility billing, checks, packets, there are three of us in the office. So it's do what you can when you can. From there, I took a leave for family. And like I said, they called me back for special projects, to sit in for vacation and sick time. Helped a new clerk learn what I had known from working for the city of Winstead. I took a full-time job with the city of Victoria, larger city, approximately 8,000 people, part of the metro area, so it was a change. From there, I was in Victoria, I was front desk, planning and zoning. I assisted them. I helped with utility billing. I helped the clerk with basically the same duties. When you're in front desk, it's a little bit of every department. While I was there, we went from 3 people in the front to just me, so I took over more responsibilities. While I was in Victoria, we had outsourced utility billing. From having it insourced to having a company do it. I was the one that overlooked their billing, looking for problems, being the contact for residents, making sure the billing was right, that I caught all errors before it went out. I was there approximately 8 years. Due to family situation, took a small break, but in the meantime, worked part-time for the city of Howard Lake, another small community, about 1,200 people. And that was front desk, utility billing, permits, answering the phones, assisting the administrator. After my family situation had cleared up, went back to full-time to Orono, where I am now. I was hired as a management assistant. Very large job description. To make it summarized, I was the girl Friday of the office. Anything and everything. It was basically the deputy clerk description plus more. They were not ready to give that title at that time. Since then, my title's been changed to deputy clerk. My description really didn't change. It was a title change. I've gone to the Clerks Institute, finished my 3 years. I just recently got that certification. As city clerk, I had interimed as a city clerk for Orono when they had a changeover. But through my 20+ years of experience, have found that I enjoy the front desk. I enjoy customer service. I enjoy helping multiple departments. I like being behind the scenes helping. So I enjoy municipal government. I plan on staying in municipal government. And even after I retire, I hope to be able to be that fill-in person for local cities, to always work elections. I love elections. There's such a variety of job opportunities, and that's what I enjoy.
Very good, thank you. Next question, Bruce.
This position will be the first point of contact for citizen interaction. Please describe a time where you dealt with a customer who was frustrated or upset and how you addressed the situation and provided a resolution.
When it comes to working in municipal government, it's almost a daily occurrence that somebody's not happy. It can be just a little not happy to a lot not happy. It's really important to listen and to communicate with that person, listen to that person, repeat their problems so that they know that you understand them. If you don't know the answer, to say that you don't know the answer, but you're willing to help them get to a resolution. Always get back to a person, even if you pass it on to someone, forward it on to a department that has the answers, making sure that they got back to that person. If it's a really busy time, you know, if it's a financial question and you're in the middle of budget, they might not be able to get back to them right away, but getting back to them saying, we didn't forget about you is really important, so they know that they've been heard. There are those that cannot be appeased or settled down just by you, and sometimes that's your position, is to let them vent with you, to yell if they have to get it out. And when you pass it on to the next person, hopefully they have calmed down to listen to the answers, even if they're given the same answers. I can say, yes, I'm sorry, this is your utility rate. I know it went up this year. These were the reasons. They don't hear you, they don't hear you. And then you pass them on to finance and they say the same things, but they know they've already had that moment to, if you want to say, explode, which you learn how to take. You don't take it personally. You make sure that they know that they've been heard. You deal with every situation differently. And if you can, even in a difficult situation on the phone, talk with a smile, you can tell. You can tell when someone is upset on the phone, or they're bored with your phone call, or they think they're being bothered, and you can't let that come across. And it's as little as talking with a smile does make a difference.
Thank you.
Next question, Joe.
Describe your knowledge of general office computer programs and which programs you're most comfortable using.
Over the years, there's many programs, of course, Microsoft in all of the suite programs you use. And if you don't know how to do something, there's always a help button and there's always online help. And not to be afraid to ask somebody in the office who maybe did something, a program, a spreadsheet, how they did it, to learn. I have worked with, right now, we are working with Citizen Serve as a permitting software. We work on our website. And I've worked with multiple platforms on the website to both add and edit information. I've worked with Banyan and Clarity for finance and receipting. I have to remember it, right now in Orono, they all start with Cs. Clarity, Citizen Serve. We have a public works program, which I am learning right now because I am sitting in for the public works administrative assistant while she's on maternity leave, where they track their tasks and hours. And that program title is leaving me. You have to be open to learn. I'm not afraid of programs. Most of the time, unless everything asks you, are you sure, most of the time? So you can be afraid, you don't have to be afraid to try things and ask questions. There are manuals and helps all over the place. And if you're coming into some place that has a program, somebody knows how to use it and you just have to ask.
Thank you. Next question, Jesse.
Could you tell us about excuse me, could you tell us about a project that you were directly involved with or assigned to complete that required some creativity or innovation?
Creativity and innovation. We have in Orono changed our website platform. So it was organizing that and trying to figure out where people go, the questions that they want, the titles of the pages, things to that nature, and having that discussion. And it's an ongoing project, which we have reorganized multiple times. Everything from, do you title a page refuse? Do you title it garbage hauler? Do you title it recycling, which one, when somebody's looking for a question, which one are they most likely to realize that's their page? So at the beginning, it was a refuse page. Well, not everybody associates that word. So then it was garbage and recycling, and we had sub-pages under that. It was looking at what pictures we're posting on each website page that looked good. We have hired somebody in communications since then, and it's being part of a team that makes that process, being able to bounce things off of each other, where one person is sure they have the right answer, but after talking about it, you find out that there is more than one right answer, and finding out what's best for the community or for the customer at the end. What makes sense to you might not make sense to your audience. We've also done a lot of records into digital format. We have Laserfiche, which is another program I forgot to mention that I am active in, and it's keeping those records in an orderly format. The titling, making sure it makes sense, making sure there's consistency, and even going back to old records that used a different format to try to make everything consistent going forward. So organizationally, we've done a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Describe a situation where you were able to help out a colleague or a team member.
That's an everyday occurrence. The fact that, and we'll be just a little bit humorous, I'm not afraid of the technology. I'm not afraid of the copier, the computer, or the receipt, whatever. There have been times where somebody will try to do something and it won't work, and they'll try to do something and it won't work, and they'll ask me if I know what they're doing wrong, and I'll come over and ask, show me what you're doing, and they'll do it and it will work. And they'll say, well, it's because you're standing here, so you just have to stand here all day. And it's like, no, there are so many ways to help people to read what's going on and be knowledgeable. In the cities, and well, statewide, they had a lead service line survey on trying to find how many water services have lead pipes in them. And we had issues finding some of the old documentation. So we knew it's not lead, but we don't have the documentation to prove to the state that our service lines weren't lead. So I went up into our records department knowing what I was looking for, where somebody had gone up and basically sort of went through a file and goes, yep, not here. And they went through all the things. Well, I went up there and said, no, this is the year that it should be in. And after spending the time looking for it, we found some change orders. We didn't find the main plans, but we did find change orders, which identified pipes for Orono, about 100 to 200 pipes that we could take off of our inventory that we could prove weren't lead, which helped with our process annually now going on. To know where things are and to take the time to find the answers helped the whole city, one, with the time and money it's spent going forward, because we had to identify all those residents and send mailings out to them. And Public Works has to go out to their residents, things like that. So looking forward and taking the time and realizing that every little thing that you can do to help helps the city, helps the budget, helps the residents. And realizing that, asking the questions to see if there's a place where you can help. A part of the position that I like as far as deputy clerk or front desk or administrative is being part of all the departments and having that information, and sometimes being the in-between, where one department knows what they know and another department knows what they know, and they sort of know each other. But as a person in between, I've had conversations with both and have been able to say, oh, I talked to the community development department, and we were just talking about this, and Public Works is doing this project. I think that I saw information, or we had this conversation, talk to Brent or talk to Joe or talk to, because I think they can help. So being that person in between to help interdepartment communications sometimes, even though they aren't talking to each other, they don't always listen because they're in their own department, and being that central person really helps.
Thank you. Bruce?
Tell us about a time when you felt you were overwhelmed with the number of tasks you were balancing in your work, and what strategies did you use to manage all of it?
It's an everyday occurrence, whether it's 3 phone calls and 2 people and a council meeting date and having to get the packet out. One is to remember to breathe, that it will get done, not being afraid to ask for help or ask for what is considered a priority and working that way. Nobody can do all of it by themselves. Trying to be patient, making a list. Like I said, there are priorities. If it's a council meeting and it has to be posted today, that is something that has to be done today. If it's a phone call and people are there, it's okay to ask somebody if it's okay that they wait. Tell them that they're busy, or take a name and number and get back to them. Not to panic is the big thing. But communications and patience is the key to getting through a lot of priority.
Thank you.
Next question, Joe.
What 3 words would your coworkers use to describe you and why?
Words, if more phrases, like I said, if they're looking for something that they can't find, they reliable. I feel like I have a Rolodex in my head, and I have 20 years of experience in 4 cities and 3 counties, and there's a lot of information. And if somebody's looking for something or wondering something, they'll ask me if I know, and I can say yes, but I can't give you an answer right now. Go back to your office and let my Rolodex spin, and eventually I'll figure out either where we need to look or who we need to ask, or if I don't know, there's always a path to find the answer. I don't panic. I try to be very level-headed. So I'm reliable in that way, that I'm good to bounce questions off of. And the words, I don't have specific words, I have examples of being able to look at something from a different angle, to maybe ask that one question that somebody forgot that was simple. You can go, oh yeah, we have it, but it's big picture, and yes, that one thing we might need to make more detailed so somebody understands. I review all the council packets and memos and read them and send them back to say, this doesn't make sense. Of course, everyone's in the finance mind right now with budgets having to be finalized and things like that. And our finance director, I was going through our current council packet, and there was one section that made sense to her because she's a finance person. But as somebody who doesn't know finance, this one paragraph was very confusing. And if it's confusing to me, it's going to be confusing to the residents or the business owners who are looking at the financial plan when they're seeing what the city is going to budget and how the levy is going to be affected. So looking at details, I look at that from a layman's point of view. I have the information, but because I'm not an expert in all of the departments, I just have information. I have fellow employees who ask me questions to get that point of view, to see if things make sense. And I can point out some of those things, and they appreciate that. There was a time where I can honestly say some of the departments thought that my nose was where it shouldn't be, and it took conversation to say, no, I'm answering the phone, you're giving me this information to pass on. I have to understand what I'm saying because they're going to ask me questions. So those are some of the things that I think my fellow employees appreciate, is my knowledge. It might not be at the tip of my tongue, but it's there, that I am willing to talk to them about what they have and what they present to make it more understandable. And I can stand by somebody to make the computer work.
Thank you. Next question, Jesse.
This job requires a high level of attention to detail. I think you've kind of covered it already in regards to your approach, but if you want, please describe some additional ways you ensure your work is accurate and complete, please.
detail is very important. I think it's important to take a look at things, to have someone else look at things. We had an incident where we put out calendars every year. We make our recycling in Orno, where I am right now. We put out the recycling calendar because we contract it for this city. And so we make our own calendar. Last year, I didn't look at it. 3 other people looked at it, and there was a mistake, and it went out with a mistake. So it's important that, yeah, even 1 or 2 people look at it. That still doesn't cover all the mistakes, which reminds you that it's not a bad thing that that final proof, even though you've looked at it, to look at it forwards and backwards when you're reading things, to if you're looking for punctuation or numbers, to verify those, to have somebody say, well, you just checked my numbers. In one city where you had to prepare deposits for utility bills, you'd add up the stubs, you'd add up the checks, you'd make it on the deposit, you'd add up, and there were those times that for some reason you were off, and you'd try again and you'd be off, and you'd try again and you'd be off, and you don't know why. So you just have to either leave it or give it to someone else to do, and accept the fact that we're not all perfect and we need that help to double check ourselves, because it is very important.
Thank you. What motivates you?
What motivates me? Right now it is, finding somewhere to work up in the Brainerd Lakes area. We have family up here. We're planning on moving up here. I want to stay in municipal government. So family is very important to me. Like I said, I do want to stay in municipal government. I think this is very important. And I think the support roles in municipal government are very important, both for backing up the council and the department heads, but also being there for residents, because even as a resident in my city, you realize that not everybody has you have to know what you're doing. You have to know who to ask the right questions to, and you have to know what questions to ask. And being able to help that works in the work life, but it also works with family and friends, to be able to have the conversation and to understand people. I enjoy the summers in Minnesota. I have a cabin, and now with my children and their families being up here, we're up here a lot. So it's a wide variety, but right now it's setting my next steps in life up, which hopefully is in this area, whether it is here in Nisswa, which I would really enjoy, or another municipal city, and finding somewhere up here to enjoy the area, because it's so beautiful up here. So.
Thank you. Last question, Bruce.
Why are you interested in working in the city of Nisswa? I know you've mentioned some things already.
Oh, yeah. I do have to say that I am very impressed by you. You've had a very challenging year, between reorganizing staff, the administrator search, whether it's administrator, treasurer, administrative clerk. There are so many facets of that. Having the clerk leave, having Maggie here, doing everything. I can't even imagine how her stress level has been. But to watch your meetings and how much you communicate both with yourselves and staff and residents is impressive. I've worked with small cities and I've worked with larger cities where the council is the council, and residents talk to staff unless it's only a complaint. And then they talk to council, and then council, comes back to the staff to try to fix the complaints. It's watching what I've seen. There's communication, both staff-wise and city-wise, and there's consideration both with how you're going to reorganize and what job descriptions are going to be. You've spent time, you haven't rushed through it, you've questioned things, which to me shows how much you care about the city that you live in, which makes a huge difference to work for a city that is committed to the city and to the residents. And I think that you've had a lot of challenges this year, and I think you've rose to the occasion. So I think it would be a very interesting place to work, with a lot of challenges and a positive attitude, positive environment.
Thank you. Now what questions do you have for us, if any?
Well, like I was saying, I know you guys have had a very challenging year, and at one point you were, I believe you're out looking for a new administrator at the moment slash clerk is what I think you came down to. And when you were looking at job descriptions, you were still, weighing job descriptions, both for this position that I'm interviewing for, even though the job description had to be out there, the new administrator, Maggie's position, if she's here, whether finance is under the administrator. I was wondering what kind of decisions you've made, if the job description for this job has changed since you were been looking at the other job descriptions.
Yeah, at a prior meeting, we did come to consensus and council did action, so the job descriptions are set. So
Okay.
for that city administrator clerk position, that's now with a consulting firm that again, council action to move forward with, as well as the corresponding job description. So everything is pretty well set. Maggie, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
No, I think I will say the job descriptions are set to the best of our knowledge and ability. Obviously, depending on who we get to fill some of these seats, this could be an evolving change potentially, just
Sure.
to see where the right fit are and try to level out the tasks at hand, to ensure that one person isn't overwhelmed, because we all know that sometimes somebody can do all of this, but you hire a new person and they can't do all of this. So,
Exactly.
there'll be a lot of potential,
That wonderful line at the bottom, duties as assigned.
yes, I
Any
think it will be
other
a work-
duties as assigned?
I think it will be a work in progress.
Sure. The job description, and Maggie, this is maybe more for you or for you, Madam Mayor and Council, as far as preparing the minutes as who goes to what meetings. Is this deputy clerk going to be going to meetings, or is it going to be more of writing the meetings or proofing the meetings or meeting minutes? Have we made that decision?
I will
yet?
say it's a great question. I will say in the past, the deputy clerk has been, the clerk and myself actually have been doing minutes. We do minutes for different things.
Mhm.
We did, the council did approval, some new, I'll call it AI software to do minutes where you input the agenda and then you're recording and it kind of does it for you. You still have to review it.
Sure.
And I will say the majority of all of our commissions and council are not great about reading all of the things, especially with planning and zoning. You have a ton of findings and facts and conditions and things that get put on there that they're in the packet. So they just say reference the packet. And so it's adding those things. Again, it will be kind of one of these things where does it work for them? I don't want people to spend time here that don't need to be. We spend a lot of hours here as it is today. And so just trying to be more efficient. If we have technology that will do some of these things, then there's not a need to have additional staff here
Mhm.
for those things. And all of our meetings, as you probably know, are on YouTube. And so I always say if somebody can't be here to do minutes and do those things, like the biggest thing I need is the motions. Because if technology fails, I still need something for backup. So
Exactly.
I will say we will work through some of that, but I would say my goal would be not to have that person just to type up minutes to then import it.
Right. No, that makes 100%
Okay.
sense. One of the job descriptions was supporting the community center. Is there staff for the community center that you're supporting, or does City Hall basically run the community center administrative part of it?
City Hall does that. So
Okay.
currently, I manage all of the bookings. So all of the contracts and scheduling, doing, showings of the venue,
Yep.
collecting payments, and then ensuring we do have staff that cleans it in between events. And so ensuring that we get our cleaning checklist and we can return security deposits if need be, or do some additional billing. So
Right.
this person would be, I'll say, the main point of contact for that. And then you would work with Amber. She is our Parks and Rec Director. The community center falls under her department.
Okay.
And so working with her and then our maintenance staff to ensure that we have people to turn over events if we have quick turns.
Sure. Do you handle any permits and inspections in-house for building, or is that all contracted out?
That,
Joe is our planning and zoning liaison.
There are no building inspections in the city,
Hmm.
so it's just permits. So,
And do you handle all those in-house?
yeah, Stephen does, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but there are no current inspections done within the city, at the city level.
So when somebody is building a new house and they pull a permit, there's,
Stephen will give them a permit, but then,
but
you know,
no, there's no inspections attached to that.
he will go out and inspect like footprints or things like
Okay.
that. If it was a variance or something like that, or a conditional use permit that was put on them, he does go out and ensure that all of those conditions are met within that
Okay.
permit.
they'll do the sewer inspections and stuff,
Right.
you know, with on the public works side, but as far as like a building official inspecting a building,
Mm-hmm.
No.
we do not have that in the city,
Um,
building or fire.
okay. And, I guess my last one was elections, which I'm assuming if it's an administrator clerk, will be the administrator of the elections. And you only have one precinct, which is nice. Early voting, is that done through the county or is that done here in person?
Here.
Okay, which we do in Hennepin County now, so that's nice to be prepared for. My last question as far as the job goes is the format of the city records. How electronic are you? How paper format are you? Are you looking at converting more things electronic? Are there plans for anything to that nature?
We'll let Maggie articulate that one.
I will say in my 12 and a half years here, we have made some progress to do digital.
It's a big project.
It is. And so we've kind of, at one point in time, we just started saying, okay, let's try and do digital. We do have a lot of old files that still need to be scanned in and things like that. We do not use Laserfish or anything like this, so we
Okay.
just right now just save it on our server.
Okay.
I would say it's probably one of the goals in the future. Now, I don't know what future is that, 3 years or 5 years or what.
Right.
But we have looked at some of that.
Okay.
And are trying to do that like for our property records and things.
Right, okay. No, that makes a lot of sense, and with the variety of cities that I've worked in, it's been both all changing. And, I will let you know as far as moving to electronic with property files, where I am now in Orono. It took us 6 years to scan, because we did it ourselves in-house, so we
Wow.
could control it. We could throw out the papers that didn't need to be scanned, opposed to spending the money to have all the papers that didn't need to be scanned, paid to be scanned. We had temporary people, it took 5 years to scan property files. So it's nice to know where you stand, what your future is on that. And just to let you know that I've been all paper, I've been in transition, I've been all electronic. And there's pluses and minuses to each of them, and there are pains to each of them. But it's nice to know. I do have to say, the one nice thing about government employment is that we share. If you have a question that no one in your office knows, you call another city. If somebody wants a new form made, you can go to the clerk's listserv and say, does anybody have this form? You don't have to reinvent the wheel. We're all in the same boat. It's a family. And once you're part of that family, everyone is very helpful and willing to share. So if there are questions that I don't know the answers to, whether it's through staff, there's a whole lot of people out there that you can help get answers from, which is one of the enjoyments of not being in private industry where everything's a secret. But I want to thank you all for having me today. I did appreciate you having me in. If I do get the job, it would be wonderful to work with all of you. If not, good luck. You've made great progress. You have more progress to make. I will be in the area, so I will be able to see the wonderful things that you do. But I do appreciate you having me in today.
Thank you. Before we let you jump off, just last call for council. Any other questions or is everyone good? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mhm. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Yes. So what we're going to do is we just have a series of interview questions. We've been asking the same questions to every candidate to be fair and in compliance. So we'll just do a round robin.
Okay.
And then we'll leave time at the end for any questions that you have for us. Do you have any questions about the process before we just jump in?
Go ahead and jump in.
Okay, wonderful, April. Thank you. The first question is, can you just tell us a little about yourself, including your background and experiences that makes you a good candidate for the position?
I've pretty much worked in customer service, ever since I started. I started as a cashier at McDonald's, and now currently I'm working as a patient access representative at Lakewood and Staples. I deal with I've dealt with different types of people that, the ones that come in, know what they want, and that, and then the ones on the other end where they're just upset for the day because something didn't go their way or whatever. I've also worked with a little bit of accounting. I worked at the Gorse Company, which is realty and a rental company. So I did their did a little bit of accounts receivables and accounts payables due to collecting the money and having to do the deposits for that.
Very good. Next question, Bruce.
This position will be the first point of contact for citizens interaction. Please describe a time where you dealt with a customer who was frustrated or upset and how you addressed the situation and provided a resolution.
For instance, about 2 months ago, I had a patient come in. She was late for her appointment, and she was not happy. I says, the doctor will not see you because you're after your check-in time, but I made her happy and went back and talked to the nurse. And even though I already knew the answer, but I just kind of made her feel at ease. And then when I got back, I went ahead and checked to see who else had an opening, so she wouldn't have to wait or go to the ER or something for that next opening, and I was able to do that. I also relayed it on to, we have what we call a customer experience area where they're able to address their frustrations or concerns about what's going on. And and I was able to share that with that person, and that the person on the head of that was able to reach out to her and help her understand a little bit more about the process.
Next question, Joe.
Describe your knowledge of general office computer programs and which programs you are most comfortable in using.
I'm very comfortable in using email, Microsoft Word. I've had a little bit of experience in Excel. I can kind of navigate through there. I haven't had to do a whole lot with that, but I'm able to set up some spreadsheets, some things with that.
Next question, Jesse.
Could you please tell us about a project you were involved with or assigned to complete that required some creativity and innovation, please?
Well, that one's a hard one for me because I really haven't had to do a whole lot of projects in my things. I've actually, when working with the Gorse Company, I've actually had to set up like letter templates for them to go out to renters or even to like potential buyers or something like that. let's see, what else have I done? For working where I'm at now, we're assigned a project like to update like insurance information or how we or how we put in the insurance stuff. I've had to do, help with that.
Thank you.
Can you describe a situation where you were able to help out a colleague or team member?
Well, that's a constant thing. That's pretty much what we do there. I have, we work as a team. If a colleague has an answer and if I can see where it's at. I mean, sometimes it's just overlook of something, or it's like, oh, hey, can you look at this, see if I did this right or whatever. I'm able to some of the time, I won't say that, but, and then if we're not able to, we go and reach out to somebody else.
Thank you. Bruce?
Tell us about a time when you felt overwhelmed with a number of tasks that you were balancing in your work, and what strategies did you use to manage all of it?
For those tasks, so as I worked as a 911 dispatcher, so there was one time where I had 5 or 6 calls up on the board because we were only did one dispatcher at a time. And I had to prioritize which call was first, whether it was a medical or if it was just a regular traffic stop. I had to prioritize which one went out first. Doing that, I think that kind of ingrained in me that, okay, you need to look at those tasks and make sure you're doing it correctly.
Thank you.
Next question, Joe.
What 3 words would your coworkers use to describe you and why?
A team worker, because I'm willing to help out the team. I'm willing to, if they ask a question, willing to maybe help them resolve that question. I believe I have rapport with the patients, the people that come in, because I'm able to kind of get on their level and understand that, hey, I understand you're having a bad day, but what else can I help you with? And then third one is that I'm reliable. I'm able to fill it if someone needs to switch a shift or something, I'm able to do that.
Good. Next question, Jesse.
So this job requires a high level of attention to detail. Describe some ways you ensure your work is accurate and complete, if you could.
I double, triple check things. That's important. I also, if I feel like I'm missing something or I need something extra double checked, I check with a coworker. Hey, can you look this over for me? I feel like there's something missing or I need a input on what's going on.
Thank you.
Only 2 questions left. So what motivates you?
What motivates me is being busy. I like to be busy. I like to be challenged. I like to learn. And I feel that that's kind of my current job now, is that I'm kind of at a standstill of, I know I can move on if I wanted to, but it's just, there's just a little bit more to do there.
Thank you. And our last question will come from Bruce.
Why are you interested in working at the city of Nisswa?
I believe it's gonna be a challenge to work. It's, for me, it's a learning process also. I'd like to learn more. I'd like to develop my background in what I'm doing. Also, I believe that I am a good candidate. Working as a dispatcher, I've worked in the government sector before. I'm able to handle difficult people. I'm able to handle, all kinds of general people and public and that.
Thank you.
All right.
Do you have any questions for us?
I do not.
Okay. Council, any additional questions?
Or again?
I did 911 dispatching in Wilkin County.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any additional questions? Okay, well, thank you so much for coming in. We truly appreciate your time.
right, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Okay, well, that completes the 5 interviews for the candidates. So now we would move to discussion, hiring and offer, and I guess a recommendation, just quick thing, I'm gonna have to jump out at 11, so if there's continued discussions, I'll have to turn it over to Joe to lead. But if we want to go through council and discuss, if you have a recommendation of, first, second, third, for example, or, none, right? It could be whatever. And then a recommendation to, once we get to alignment and a motion on that, perhaps we consider, again, if there's a first choice, a second choice, if someone declines, that we can motion on that. So then we can just give Maggie flexibility to drive forward, so we don't have to come back in another council meeting. And then also to make a motion around Maggie gave us the wage scale and the position and the range around that for those, an offer, and again, maybe a backup offer to go out. So I guess Bruce, we'll just start with you.
I think that Nola is a standout. I rated her very high. She's got some experience. She was taking notes when she was sitting here. She's a very good candidate. She's knowledgeable. She's had some good experience. I think she'd be a good fit for Nisswa. Everything I saw about her, she was a standout candidate. I'd put her at number 1. As far as number 2, I would go with Jane Mishad. I'd put her at number 2, but the one that really stands out the best is Nola, in my
Okay,
opinion, from
thank
what I
you.
see.
Joe,
Do we want to check any references on the top couple candidates?
We can, but as a city, it's contingent on an offer, so we don't do reference checks until we've given an offer to a candidate. So if I called candidate A, it would be contingent on a background check, which would need to be included, and reference checks. So at that point, we would do reference checks.
Okay, yeah, I think Jane and Nola, I would do it in flip order. I'd do Jane and then Nola. But also in this process, I'd be interested also too in hearing
Mhm.
Maggie's input.
Yeah, I'm
for
gonna
sure.
go to her after Jesse.
Jane and then Nola. All were fine candidates.
So, sorry, Joe, when you said flip order, you meant flip from what Bruce said. He said
Correct.
no.
Yeah, so just like Jesse,
Yep.
Jane and Nola.
And I have a third option too,
Yes, let's have that.
Jessica.
Jessica. Okay, and then Maggie, what are your thoughts?
Future coworkers here, you better speak nicely of them.
They were all great. They were all nice.
There you go.
Yes, they were all nice. They were pleasant to speak with. When I talked with all of them on the phone, I would probably agree that Jane, just with her experience and her personality, would probably be my top fit.
Do you have a second, or are you not certain at this point in time? You don't have to answer if you don't.
I just want to stick with my number 1 for right now.
Okay, understood. I think tend to be in agreement with most folks here of the ordering. I actually am in agreement with Jesse. You walked out of the room. So Joe and Jesse had indicated their top 2 are Jane and Nola, but they flipped the order from what you did. So they said Jane 1 and 2 Nola, and then Jesse added a third, which is Jessica. After going through the interviews, I think all were great. Appreciate them all for the time and effort to come here and answer these questions, but I'm actually in full agreement with Jesse of Jane first, Nola second, and actually adding Jessica as a third.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that the Nisswa City Council offer the deputy clerk position to Jane Mashad, offering a grade 8 pay scale of $29.90.
Second.
Is there any additional discussion?
Maggie, I'm gonna make a second motion then for a backup offer after this.
Let's take the,
Is that
we'll take
okay?
the vote on this one first.
Will you just repeat, did you say step 8?
Step 8.
Okay, I just wanted to,
Oh, he said grade 8, step 8. Yep.
okay,
Okay.
just making sure.
We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion?
I'll go with it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries, and now Councilmember Zahn is going to make a backup recommendation.
I'd like to make a motion to have a backup job offer presented to Miss Nola Dickhausen for the deputy clerk position, offering a grade 7 pay scale of $29.03.
Grade 8, step 7.
Grade 8, step 7, excuse me. And with the full understanding, if the first job offer is unaccepted, you have authority to then offer that.
Okay, contingent on background checks and reference checks.
Contingent on all the good stuff.
Okay,
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. That completes actually, oh, Joe.
Question though, pay still might be a negotiating factor even if one or the other of them would accept, correct? In this kind of the hiring process still?
correct.
Do we want to make a motion to give Maggie the flexibility if pay becomes a discussion point to potentially work within a scale so she's not maybe boxed in? So we don't necessarily have to come back. Do we need to do that, Maggie?
This position is not going to be unionized, is it?
I do not believe
I
so.
don't believe so. So question then, because everybody's unionized around here. What is, because I don't think we've even had a non-union employee since I've been here. I think, or maybe a year or two, but essentially these steps, are they an annual?
Yes,
So that's why that's my thought of grade 8, because it gives us some ability for the next year or two with Jane.
yes.
So if she comes back,
Yeah, it makes sense. Just more of a question on my end.
Yeah.
oh, it's a good point, but
Do you
it,
need a motion from council to have flexibility in negotiation if that becomes a sticking point? So we don't have to come back to a special meeting? Because if so, then it would probably behoove you for process and everybody for us just to make that motion if you need it.
Yes, because you made a motion with a dollar step, then I don't have the authority myself to do any of that. 'cause
Other
I
than
do-
that step.
well, if
But
I'm
that-
Jane, then I'm watching this video, and if we know that we're going up to 9 or 10, she's gonna ask
Oh,
for 9 or
yeah.
10. You know what I mean? So, I mean, we are meeting on Wednesday, we are meeting
Yeah,
next week, so
and
let's just.
I think any of these applicants, if we need to do something, but like you said, I can add it to an agenda next Tuesday to have a conversation if that is a holding point for, the candidates.
Okay, great. Anything else, anyone? All right, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Megan, you probably need all of these back.
Yes, I need all of them back.